Hey everybody. I mentioned on Twitter yesterday that I was working on a new game called Drift that is currently part of the Steam Next Fest festival, and I asked if anybody wanted to see some YouTube videos on it. So that's what I've gone ahead and decided to do today. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a listen to this. This is our main menu, sort of main theme track, the one that's kind of setting the tone for the game and the score. It's kind of aiming to be the thing that gets you set up and gets you into the game. So take a listen to this. I do have this current project right now with all the tracks disabled and frozen, and we're actually listening to a print here of it because I noticed earlier when OBS was running that it was having some real struggles getting through the entire track. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to it from a bounce, and then what I'll do is go through here and re-enable all the tracks, and we can kind of look and do a little breakdown about what the score to drift looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to switch over to a piano roll view here, and I'm going to mute myself, and let's go ahead and take a listen. All right, so give me just a minute. I'm going to disable the preview on OBS. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so not anything super crazy or overly new and different. We're really going for something that's pretty much a traditional strings, I'm sorry, synth score with a little bit of tonal percussion mixed in here and there. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So up at the top here, you can see that I've got all these sections sort of blocked out here with markers. In the opening, what we have is this pad right here, which is, I believe, oh, all these tracks are frozen. I need to unfreeze them. Give me just a second here. That opening pad, I believe, comes from Omnisphere. It's from, I believe, an unfinished library. Give me just a minute to turn these all on and unfreeze them. While that loads, we'll talk a little bit about kind of the general atmosphere that we're going for. We're going for something a little bit ambient, but not too ambient. Our sort of touchstone is kind of a driving synth sound that isn't too in your face, but also isn't, you know, just pads. So although we start out with this pad, which is from, let's see, what is it from? If it'll open up here, I need to update Omnisphere. Yeah, this looks like it's from an unfinished library, I think from Colossus. Just gets us into it with sort of a little bit of a spacey vibe. And then we get this opening figure here in this pad, which accompanies itself. So just kind of a simple 3-part melody here, a call, a response, and then kind of a summation. So nothing out of the ordinary, just real simple melody with some single notes, you know, backing it up. There's a bass track down here just doing the same thing as the lower notes of that pad. Then we move into a version of that with pulses. As you can see up here, I've got it marked opening but pulsy. And then we've got the main theme, and this is going to be the main theme that we're going to use for the whole of the score. It's this little really wanted something that was recognizable. Hopefully that would get stuck in your head. Something that would definitely had melodic content that wasn't just sort of texture. Something that happens a lot when I'm working on melodic content like this. You'll notice that it's kind of an odd set of measures. I think it's what, like 15 measures, something like that. And it's broken sort of like the beginning into 3 parts. You know, you have this opening right here. Right? And then the response to it is this second section. But then this third section almost feels a little bit incomplete, like it's a little unfinished. It feels like it's the beginning of another 2-phrase pair. And then it uses the harmony underneath to sort of sound like it's finished by going back to the tonic there. That's something I like to do because it gives you a little sense of incompleteness. It gives you a little bit of wanting to hear a little bit more, I've noticed sometimes. So that's definitely a a conscious choice on my part to do that. And it's something that sometimes works. You'll find that a lot of people don't really like it, you know, because they want to hear that second phrase of the second half. Up to you, you know, obviously go with what your, you know, if you're working on a game, what your game directors and audio directors are telling you, what your developers are telling you. But it's something to kind of maybe sneak in and try out in your own work, because it can really kind of leave people kind of like wanting more, as I said. So that lead is played, I believe, on a sound paint. This is from 8DO, and I basically made my own here. We used some of their synths to give it that real electronic feel, but the other half of that sound is actually their alto flute legato and their tenor sax legato, although the tenor sax I've actually turned off. That's right, we decided not to use the tenor sax. So we just decided to stick with the flute here to keep it, to give it some sort of organic legato beauty behind that synth. So while the synth sort of dominates on the sustained notes, you still get those nice legato transitions from the flute. Sorry, I was just going to go ahead and play it with just the flute if I could. What is this at? 6.44. And of course we've drenched it in reverb to really give it a ethereal, spacey sound. Let's see if we can get this back up to something close to where it was. It's really hard. That'll be fine. 6.48 is close enough. And then we've layered, obviously, that synth on top of it. Underneath it, nothing too crazy, just some pulsing, you know, bunka 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 stuff, you know, some pad chords. So keeping it really simple. I find a lot of times with electronics, I at least need to keep things really, really bare and simple, at least to begin with, because it's really easy to overload yourself. I find that acoustical instruments, because of how they're made, tend to really have a section of the frequency spectrum that they really sit in and they really dominate, and then they generally obviously don't produce anything outside of that. But with synth instruments, a lot of times everything you're working on can be, you know, I mean, especially with something like a sound paint, you know, your bass can be playing along on the bottom, if it will ever play here. It's not playing. Do I have it? You know, like you can have your bass down there, but you can have, I mean, that's the same sound up high. So it's really easy to end up in a place where you're allowing those really versatile instruments from like a range perspective to really overlap and to really step on one another. So I at least need to really keep things pretty simple. So once we've done that main theme, you know, gotten that out of the way, shown everybody sort of what that is, sort of like setting it up, this is the theme we're going to use. We have this little tonal sort of bridgy percussion-y thing. We're using Heaviosity's Ascend piano here to do a lot of the heavy lifting through this section, because it has a very nice spacey sound. All that delay, it sounds very big and futuristic. Also, we've got 8DO's acoustic grand ensembles Glock, which I think is just one of the most lovely instruments. Really nice. And it's just kind of plunking along. Then we add in these this cymbalum and this I don't actually know how to pronounce this, kaisa, which I think gives it a nice. Again, it's about finding those metallic sounds that we want to have through this section, but trying to keep them really separated so that they're always, when they're speaking together, they have like a section of the music that they dominate. So, and then obviously we have pulses underneath them. So this is where everything gets very, very angry at me. For some reason, one of the delays I've got on one of these eats CPU. Once we've done that, so we've established our main melody, we've had that little bridge section, and where that bridge section actually kind of takes us is to a part of the song where we've been pretty much in E minor up until now, and it actually ended up sounding really nice here to use the parallel major, E major, and to have suddenly that G sharp, or as Logic likes to call it, A flat. I hate Logic spelling so much. Come in, and it's kind of surprising, right? Because you've got this sort of E pedal underneath everything, which makes sense. If you're going to have a pedal, it's probably, the tonic is definitely a place where you can have a pedal. But then there's that G sharp, that major, to sort of suck us into a new tonality, which then allows us to play just the same idea as before, the main melody, but now we're going to do it in E major's, relative minor, C sharp minor. So we get to hear the same melody again, but we've moved it now to a new tonal center, which makes it, sound a little bit more fresh. Of course, we have my ever favorite Cinewinds English horn, the Beautiful Goose, with just tons of reverb on it. Again, just there to add that more nasally sort of upper partial information in here. I believe that the other stuff is an octave higher than it. Yeah, here. So that's what we do there. Then we just do that. It segs nicely back into that tonal percussion section again. Again, this time we're in C sharp minor instead of E minor like before, which allows us to sort of fade out and gives us, just by doing that one harmonic transition from E minor to C sharp minor, that gets us 6 minutes and 30 seconds of music, because it allows us to repeat the same material that we heard earlier, but in a new key, which makes it sound different and fresh and kind of moves it around. I really like main themes, melodies, main menu music that's fairly long. I think it's nice to be able to really give the player the opportunity to just sit there in the menu and sort of and allow you to invite them in with the music over a longer period of time. I myself will often start up a game, it'll be in the menu, I'll go, do something and then come back, and it's nice if that cohesive opener is still there, sort of inviting me in. So that's just something I really like. In Starbound, I think the menu track is like 10 minutes long. In this one, we're pushing almost 7 minutes, I think, by the time everything goes away. So yeah, that's kind of what Drift is gonna sound like. We've got tracks in the game that are a little bit more sort of reserved than this, maybe a little less pulsy. We've got a lot of tracks that are a lot more energetic, that sort of kind of go a little harder. I believe the developer was saying that he called it getting stuff done music. So yeah, there's definitely some of that in here. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll leave a link to the Steam store page. You can see it's a survival game, sort of in the vein of like Raft. Build your own space raft kind of. I think he's doing some interesting things beyond just that. And he's got this really neat art style that he's got going on. I'm bringing up their store page here so that we can give a look-see to it here. Yeah, it's just got a really neat aesthetic. I think I really love the way he's got this this gas giant in the background and all these asteroids for you to go and explore and find stuff and sort of build your base up. So you can go grab the demo at Next Fest. We'd really appreciate anyone who's interested to go do that. I'm really hoping that this one takes off, because it's I've got a build that I was given by the developer, obviously, to check implementation and stuff, and I actually find myself really enjoying it. So I'm hoping that this one really takes off. So anyway, over the next couple of days, probably during Next Fest here, I will record a couple of more videos of other tracks that we've got in the game and put those up on YouTube as well. Without further ado, then I guess I'll call it a day. I'll go ahead and play through the main title here one more time, and I'll see you next time for another look at Drift. Actually, probably not going to play that because I would have to disable all these tracks. Sometimes it crashes when I do that. So I'll just sign off. Thanks so much for stopping by, and yeah, I'll post some more about it in the future.